Got a good project for you today. We're going to be setting up the automatic waterers for the pigs. So I've been using buckets for the last 2 weeks. So today we're going to show you a much better solution for how to water your pigs, especially during the warm time of the year. You can see what I've been using. I had this heated water bucket. The way that it worked was by clipping this to the cattle panel so they couldn't actually knock the whole bucket over, but they could knock most of the water out and the floor was getting really wet. This works well when your pigs are very, very little. As soon as they become, mine are just over 2 months old. They're maybe 10 weeks, and at this point they're just already getting too big for the bucket idea. So I toyed around with our bigger bucket on the cart here for a little bit, but I decided today they're just getting so big, they're making such a mess with the water. It's time to go over to the automatic nipple waterers, and I'll show you how I set those up. I already have one set up to the regular pig pen, but I don't have one in the barn yet, so we're gonna install one today. This is what an automatic pig water nipple setup looks like. To set up an automatic pig waterer in one of your barns, you're gonna want a hose splitter. You're gonna need some Teflon tape, some short leader hose, not to be confused with leader hosen. One of those, that's a frost-free hydrant. The frost-free hydrant works year-round, whether it's freezing out or not. As long as it's in the down position, water goes back down in the ground, it won't freeze on you. Finally, to set up the automatic nipple water for your pigs, you buy the pig nipples. I get these at Tractor Supply. The pig nipple works where the pig walks over, puts his mouth on it and squeezes it, water shoots through. Now here's the thing, and this is annoying about these. The pig nipples, they're 1/2 inch size for like plumbing pipe. And hoses that you'll have coming from your frost-free hydrant, hoses are not 1/2 inch, they're much bigger. So you need to connect them, and they're both male end. So you're working from 2 male ends, so you'll need the female end connectors. So here's how I do this, and you can do this in a number of different ways, but I like to buy the nipple, the 1/2 inch nipples. They come in different sizes, but the ones I got are 1/2 inch nipples. Then I have them going into a union, which is a 1/2 inch union. A union comes apart, so if I ever want to change out my nipples, you know, if the pigs wind up breaking the nipple, and I've had pigs break the nipple before, I can take the union apart easily with this still mounted and replace the nipple, no problem. So I have a union, so the pig nipple into a 1/2 inch union. Then I have just a 1/2 inch piece of metal conduit, and I have a piece here, it's 8 inches long. I got 8 inches, you could get 6 or 4. You just want to make sure if you're mounting it to a 4x4 that it's long enough to go on either side of the 4x4. So I could have got a 6 inch would have been a fine one, I just happened to get 8s. A 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer, both female ends, so that allows me to screw in this side of my conduit into the reducer. And then that 3/4 inch side is the same size as my hose adapter. So this is a hose adapter, hose to 3/4. I didn't find any hose to 1/2 where I was buying. You could make this a lot more if you ordered this stuff online ahead of time and you didn't just run out to Tractor Supply. You could probably find everything in a 1/2 inch. You could probably find a hose reducer to a 1/2 inch. But if you can't, this is what you're working with. And I've just hand screwed these together, but I have to use Teflon tape and a set of wrenches to get this watertight. So I just did this to show you. But that's the basic setup right there. And then all you do is you mount it to a 4x4 post. You could mount it to, you could punch it through a wall if you needed to. But I'm gonna mount it to a 4x4 post. I picked up these from a plumbing supply, these nice little mounting brackets. When you mount it, you wanna make sure it's at the right height for your pigs. So I can see just looking down here, I can see if I mount it right here, they'll be able to get to it, and they'll have room where as they get taller and taller, I wouldn't want to put it up too tall, they couldn't reach it, but I wouldn't want to put it too low because as they grow I'd have to move it. So I'm going to mount it right about there. You can see they can get to it just fine, so that's where it's going. You'll need 2 sets of these pipe wrenches or groove joint pliers, adjustable pipe wrenches you have that will fit your what you're working on. But you'll need 2 of these so you can really wrench those things together tight. Otherwise, if it's not watertight, you'll have leaks, and you don't want water leaks. You're gonna need your Teflon tape, and you're gonna need all your pieces, and you're gonna thread these together. We're gonna start with the union side. We're gonna take just this male side. We're gonna put our Teflon tape on, and then we're gonna get that union on nice and tight. Now I always confuse my Teflon tape directions, so you will surely see me do this the wrong way before I do it the right way. Actually did it right that time. Finally figuring this stuff out. Okay, there's my first time doing the Teflon tape the wrong way. Knew it would happen. If you're wondering what I mean by doing the Teflon tape the wrong way, as you screw it in, you don't want the tape flap. You can imagine my finger as the tape wrapping over it. You don't want to be screwing in the direction where this would unravel. You want to be screwing with the tape pointing backwards, so as you're screwing it in, it's just getting tighter. So what I have to do with the Teflon tape, if you've never used this before, is I have to make sure that as I go righty-tighty, the flap is going in the right direction. So you'll see, as I break this, the tab is left going in this direction. And as I screw that righty-tighty, you'll see there's the little flap sticking out. As I screw it righty-tighty, it doesn't have the tendency, because of the direction that I wrap the Teflon tape, it's not unraveling it, it's just cinching it. If that makes sense, I hope, man. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Now I have all these pieces tightened by hand. Now I'm going to take my 2 wrenches here, pliers, whatever you call these, and I'm going to tighten this all up. You sock that together, nice and tight. I'll sock the next piece in. Now with all the Teflon tape, rubber gaskets in place, that should work. So now this side is all ready to feed pigs. This side is what we need to connect to a hose. And for that, again, we have, this is 1/2 inch, so I have an adapter 1/2 to 3/4, and then the 3/4 adapter to a hose. Make sure your adapter has a little rubber gasket in there, otherwise water will have a tendency to leak out of that. Once again, you can see the direction that tears off, and as I turn righty, it won't be unwound. It'll wind right in. Now that hose adapter, tighten that right in. And there you have your setup for connecting your nipple to a hose. Now you can plug your hose in, whatever the length your hose you need to get to this point. I got a very short 6-inch or 6-foot hose. It's much easier to fix this thing when it's not mounted already in place and you're working with pigs gnawing on you. So I like to test this out before it's in place. So I'm going to plug this in, make sure it doesn't leak, and then we'll put it into its position. Now be careful when you're finally attaching the hose to the hose adapter. If you really sock that part home, you could rip your hose. I've done that before and broken. Some of these adapters are poor quality. So maybe just that one, hand tighten with enough Teflon tape, you might be good enough, and test that. And plug this in, let's test it. Turn it on the water. I do have some leaks here, so I gotta tighten this. I can see it's leaking here, it's leaking there, it's leaking there. If you're still getting leaks and you're tightening it as hard as you can, a bigger set of pliers always helps. So a bigger, I got now the 2 bigger ones. I got rid of that little one and I got this bigger one. You get more torque out of a bigger one. That has helped with the back leak. Now I got to do this front couple. Now we're going to mount this to the 4x4. Clamps. You can do it without the pigs biting you while you're working. That's always nice. This here, my saying is that infrastructure is key. And the point of that saying is to say, have your infrastructure ready before your animals get here. And this is why, because when you're trying to install something and your pigs are already there and they're biting at your hands and at your legs and it's like impossible, just get your infrastructure in first before you bring them on the farm. Hey, piggy, hey, piggy. You can see pigs are a very curious animal. They like to investigate new things and they figure it out very quickly. They're curious animals. You can see all they have to do is pinch down and the water starts shooting out. And look at the difference between that and having that bucket out here. There's no water for them to tip over. This is such a better setup. And there'll still be a little bit of water on the floor from them, just losing some as they drink. But it'll be so much cleaner in this barn because of this automatic waterer setup. This is the way to do pigs. If you're gonna have pigs, you gotta set up one of these automatic waterers. The reason I suggest including a splitter in your setup is very simple. In a barn, you're gonna wanna have more than one water. That is watering the pigs, but I still have to water the ducks, the chicks, and I might want a hose to spray out the barn with too. So what I like to do is shut this down. Now make sure you have your gasket in here if you don't get a replacement gasket. Put that on there. Connect it to the switch. And then you connect your big 4-way switch to your hydrant. And that way you can have not just your pigs watered, but you can have your chicks water, an extra hose set up for spraying and cleaning out the barn. You know, whatever else you need, a 4-way splitter works wonders. And make sure that you turn off the ones that you're not using, so that when you turn it on, they're all not shooting out at you. Thanks for watching. Next video we're gonna have for you is the automatic duck waterer, which we're gonna be setting up in a little bit here. We're gonna show you some automatic duck water, and I'll show you the automatic chicken waterers too this week. So we're gonna have a lot of automatic watering setups because that's what we're doing in the barn this week. Make sure to subscribe, and if you have any questions, comments below. We try to get back to as many questions as we can every day. If this video helped you out, be sure to share it. It helps our channel grow.